Hello, everyone, and welcome again from wherever you're logging into PayTalks. It's a fourth edition this week, and I've got, as I always say, another amazing guest on this edition. So welcome to everyone who's joined us from all around the world, and a very special welcome to my guest who's joined in all the way from Switzerland. How amazing is technology these days? We can actually be chatting with each other from across the globe, and that is fantastic. Melitta Campbell is a business coach for women and an author. It's a pleasure to have you here with me today, Melitta. You're very welcome to PayTalks.
Thanks, Kate.
I know it's been a while going. I've waited weeks for this, haven't I?
Yeah.
So Melitta is the author of a book called A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking. And I'm proud to say that I've got my copy. And I just thought, Melitta, it's not going to be nice to be talking to an author of a book and I haven't at least set my eyes on the book. So I had to go out of my way. Well, not out of my way because it was pretty easy. I had to just go on Amazon and order a copy. And when my copy came, I was really excited. And I'm glad, to announce to everyone that this is my read at the moment, A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking. And Melitta and I will be talking about this book a little later, towards the end, because I'd like to listen to Melitta and all that she's got to share with us today about what it is she does. And I'm particularly interested in your work as a business coach for women. We always say a business coach is a business coach. You want to coach everybody. Why women? Why women? So that's what attracts people. And I think that's what evokes our curiosity. So tell us a bit about how you went from being a shy girl to an innovative businesswoman.
Well, it's been quite a journey. So when I had my career in London, it was great, and I didn't have to network. I could quite happily sidestep that. My career was ticking along nicely, but then we had the opportunity to move here to Switzerland, my husband and I, and we jumped in. We thought, great, let's give that a go. But then I realized I don't have any friends. I don't have any business contacts. I don't know anything. So for the first time, I actually had to get out there and network just to make some friends and contacts. And here in Switzerland, most business is done through your network. It's like when I moved here at first, and I did manage to get a transfer I was working for a bank at the time and got a transfer to their Geneva office. So that worked out fine, but there was still 3 months where it wasn't sure if I would definitely get that job or not. So I went to agencies and like, great, yes, what you do, you go out and network and find your own job. It's like, what kind of agency are you? But then it became very clear that anything you want to get done here in Switzerland is all through your network. So I had to really get out there myself. And it was really difficult because it was a very different culture. It was a very, everyone spoke every language. So when you were going to an event, you didn't even know if people would speak English or not. So it was really a baptism of fire, and I hated it. I really didn't like it. And I was really rubbish. And I had the worst mindset ever because I was really dreading it going in, telling myself all the ways I was going to mess up. And then on the train home afterwards, I'll tell myself about remind myself, oh, that was stupid, or you shouldn't have said that, or, so obviously with that kind of mindset, I was never going to get very far. So I started to read around the subject and start to learn how to network and pick up the skills. But all of the books I was reading kind of assumed that I was happy to go to a networking event in the first place. So the skills they were teaching were great, and they really did help, and I still use a lot of them to this day. But just getting there in the first place was the bit I struggled the most with, and they never covered that part. So when I was doing my leadership training, we had a day where we had to do some self-coaching and pick a challenge that we were struggling with at the moment and how we can help ourselves through that. So I picked networking, And I discovered that was the point where when I was noting down what I was doing, I was like, oh yeah, that's not good. And started to try and find a better way of doing it. And I came up with my victory formula, which is now the first half of the book. And it's really how I created my vision, how I got intentional, how I built my courage and confidence, how I got comfortable with understanding who I was and showing up as myself, because it's really hard to create meaningful connections and be confident if you're not showing up as yourself. So that was a really key part, and it was a lot harder than I thought to be my authentic self, but I got there eventually. And then I had my kind of obstacle plan. So I was really I think Tim Ferriss calls it fear setting. And so I discovered this quite early on, that what's the worst that could happen, what's the best that could happen, what's most likely, and what strategies can you already think about, so in the moment you can just go with it, you've got your backup plan. But I think the biggest thing was the rules. I decided to write my own rules, because I was always telling myself, when you're networking, this is what you should do. This is what everyone else does. This is what so-and-so does. And most of it wasn't really suited to me or my personality or my goals. So I decided, right, I have to rewrite my own rules. And that really enabled me to go at my own pace, to do things my way, to really figure things out and celebrate all those tiny little steps. And as soon as I put that victory formula in place, things started to change really quickly for me. But not only did I manage to get promoted a lot at work because of my network, because I was more in tune with everything, it gave me the courage to start a women's network at the bank as well. Because in Switzerland, I noticed that there just weren't the volume of women at the higher levels of the organization that there was in London. In London, I never felt held back by being a woman. But when I came to Switzerland, it was kind of, whoa, where is everyone? And I still didn't feel held back personally, because that wasn't my belief by that point. I hadn't grown up with ever feeling that I was at a disadvantage, but I could see that a lot of the women around me did feel that way. So I started a women's network, and I just really saw how when women come together, to help each other, they just have such amazing open conversations. And we were given quite a modest budget for the year to run the network and get speakers in and do events, and we didn't spend any of it, because we all pitched in. And when you told people, like, we went to the local restaurant and say, oh, can we have this space because this is what we're doing, they're like, sure, have the space, we'll give you some nibbles
straight away.
And we're like, well, we can pay. No, we want to support you. All the speakers came, like amazing speakers, none of them charged, and they all hung around afterwards to really help inspire people. So I think it was something that I really loved. And then when I decided to leave the corporate world and start my own business, when I started my family, then that was the work that I really wanted to continue doing. But I think, like a lot of people, I had complete imposter syndrome. It's like, who am I to coach executive women or anything like that? So, and I didn't really know where to start. So I stuck with what I did know and became a communication consultant. But over the years, so I did that for 8 years. And then I came close to burnout, because I wasn't doing work that I loved. I was just saying yes to everybody. I was putting everything into my clients, everything into my family, and nothing into me. I wasn't managing my time. I was not doing work that particularly felt fulfilling. It was,
I think as women, we do that all the time.
Yeah.
We're just so giving that we don't, quite think around investing in ourselves. Yeah. And, I'm also sorry to, cut you short there and take you back a little bit, thinking around networking. And I know that you live in Switzerland at the moment, but you're originally a Swansea girl. So you're originally from the UK. And I know that networking is only just, starting to pick momentum in the UK. But it's fast becoming a global phenomenon. I mean, I know I've lived in the UK now for a couple of years, and I've been to a couple of business networks, and the general perception in this country is that it's an American thing. I don't know, not everybody agrees with that, but you know, a lot of people that I've spoken to. So it's just not too difficult for me to understand, you know, you're saying a shy girl's guide. If networking is not something that you were used to, it would seem like a very difficult barrier to cross to become comfortable in networking.
Yeah, and I think you know, as you say, people see networking as like, oh, I have to go out, you know, at least the way I always saw it, I had to go out and perform. I had to give out as many business cards as I could. I had to come away with clients or having made a connection that's going to help me advance in my career. You know, it was really that kind of pressure to advance, and that's not what networking's about at all. Really, you know, it's about so much more than that, because through your network, you know, these are people who know you, who like you, and who trust you. And that's the kind of person who is going to bring you new opportunities. So it may not be your next client or your next promotion, but you don't know who they know, and they have this huge network. And, you know, thanks to my network, I was able to start my business, because when I was very first thinking, I don't want to go back to the office full time. I want to be able to work from home more flexibly around my daughter. And I went for lunch with someone I met networking. And I said, oh, do you know, maybe I could just write a newsletter for a company. You know, I could do that in my sleep. So it'd be something nice and flexible I could fit in. And she goes, oh, I know someone looking for someone to write a newsletter. And that was it. So that was the sign I needed that maybe I could do that.
And that's the whole idea of networking, isn't it? I know someone who knows someone who knows someone who can do this. And that's it. They create a channel of communication and things happen.
Exactly. And most of my opportunities to speak, my invitation 2 times to become a TEDx speaker coach at 2 different events came through my network. You know, most of the opportunities I've had have come through my network, and they've been really easy then, because you know, when someone knows and trusts 2 people and puts them together and said, hey, this is what you're going to get from each other, that person you're meeting, the mutual acquaintance, is usually always already excited to meet you and very open to a conversation, and they're the right kind of person too. So it's I really believe that your network is the huge shortcut to everything you want to achieve in life, no matter what that is. And a lot of the time, if you aren't sure what you need, then you can go to your network and say, hey, can I have a chat? You know, you'll know someone who is the right person to talk an idea through with, or the right person to help you get some insights about a certain new market or starting something in a particular area. And often, if they're not the right person to help you with that particular challenge or insight that you're looking for, then they'll know someone that is. And within a couple of steps, you can get the answer to anything. And so, yeah, having your network is really exciting, but it's really about building relationships and helping other people first. You know, sharing and giving value is at the heart of successful networking. It's not all about like just, you know, sharing isn't sharing your business card. It's sharing something valuable, and helping people to understand your expertise bit by bit. And I think the big breakthrough for me was understanding that what I did before a networking event to prepare and what I did afterwards to follow up, those were the 2 things that actually helped me grow my network the most and have amazing people in that network. Actually showing up for the event did very little. It was always the before and after. And I think that's where introverts have a big advantage, because we like to take time to share value, to think things through. Okay, I've met Pay and this is what she's into. What can I really offer her? What information or what connections or what opportunities can I bring her way that she's going to find valuable? And that's what networking is all about.
Yeah,
and when you do
and
that,
it's all about, it's all about adding value, isn't it?
yeah.
And I believe this is at the heart of, the business that you run, adding value to other people's lives, through marketing, through messaging, and by being a mindset coach. And I was looking at your bio on LinkedIn, and how you ask the question if people's businesses, are more of an expensive hobby rather than, no, not rather than, but how you can, through your work, uh, take that from an expensive hobby to a dream business.
Mm.
Through obviously the value that you add to other people's lives. But what is the difference between an expensive hobby and a dream business?
So actually, it was through my network that I decided to pivot. So as I said, when I started my communication consultancy, I ended up working with a lot of Fortune 500 leaders within the UN, and doing some really high level work for them. But it wasn't what lit me up, and I was missing that meaning, and I wasn't growing anymore either. And those two things really meant that I was putting a lot of myself out there, and I wasn't getting that energy back. And then that's what and really led me towards the burnout, and I wasn't balancing my time at all. Productivity and time management just wasn't the thing. It was just like getting stuff done the whole time. I think I'd become uber resilient, I think they call it. So when I started networking, I got more and more people coming to me asking me, I'd love to do what you do. And either they didn't know where to start, or they kind of felt that they didn't have what it took. And I was like, well, of course you can. And then I was like, oh, I don't know if I can help you though. I know I've set up my business. And by that time, I also had a wellness business as well that I'd started as a kind of to counteract the work I was doing and bring me a bit more purpose and meaning. So I'd set up two businesses with no support network, not knowing the local language. No, I didn't put any capital up front. I just started these businesses and they worked. So yeah, more and more people asking for help. And then when I took a step back and started to think, could I help them? And I looked around and I just saw a lot of women who had started a business, and my network is mainly women. So it's, I'm sure a lot of men perhaps were in the same position, but I wanted to focus in on the women. And here, the school system is a nightmare. The kids they come home for lunch for 2 hours every day. They don't go to school on a Wednesday. They start and finish at a different time every day, particularly in my region anyway. So, I mean, to hold down a job and balance the family, and it's still women is still the primary caregivers in most situations, it's really difficult. But starting your own business is the perfect way around that. So I really wanted to help them succeed. But when I was looking at what were their challenges, the problem was they were experts, right? I haven't met a woman who isn't just an incredible doesn't have a huge amount of expertise, isn't extremely passionate about getting results for their clients. They have everything they need, but the problems they were having was they found it really hard to communicate their value clearly and with confidence. And they have found it hard to charge their worth. So a lot of the times they were not charging enough, therefore attracting nightmare clients. And very often, I met one lady, she's been in business for 3.5 years. She's had more than 500 clients. You think, wow, but not a single person has paid her. So that's just not wow. I mean, you can't continue running a business like that. And they didn't have the time management. They were feeling overwhelmed. They didn't quite know how to plan, not necessarily building a business plan, but how do you plan to get things done, and how do you know what comes first, and what is this thing, do I need that everyone's talking about? Or because there's lots of amazing advice out there on YouTube and Facebook, and it really is amazing advice, but you don't know if that's the right advice for you, the right advice for you right now, if there's something you need to do first, or so that advice doesn't come with the context. And that's where I saw people struggling and just feeling so overwhelmed and getting stuck in this, oh, I should do this, or I should be better at that, which isn't the case at all. And having worked in marketing and communications and leadership coaching for many, many years, I know that at a corporate level, this can all be really, really complicated. But I also believe that for a small business, it can be really, really simple. You just have to understand a few basic principles and know how to apply that to your business in a way that feels comfortable to you, so you can really show up as your best authentic self and make those meaningful connections. And then it all starts to fall into place, and you really step into your role as the CEO of your future. Because I see a lot of women and they're like, well, can I do this? I was like, do I have permission? Or is it, what if I make the wrong decision? It's like, well, there is no wrong decision. It's if you're going in the direction of your goals and your vision, then, you know, do it. If that's what feels right to you, go for it. And if it doesn't work, then you learn how to do it. So you're still moving in the right direction. So there is no right or wrong decision, and you're the only person that gives you permission. You can do whatever you like, and but it takes a while to get into that, which is why I've now added the mindset coaching into my business as well, so that I can really help people manage that inner game. Because I could very often see, okay, I can see they've got a block here. I didn't quite know how to help them through that, but now I've got the tools to do that as well. So it's just wonderful, because once people understand, like, go that level deeper in their business and start to feel confident in what they're doing and have this basic framework that they can apply to their situation, then it all comes together so quickly. And it's amazing how, like, someone that had been making a loss for 2.5 years, within I think it was 6 weeks later, she was breaking even. 6 months later, she had a wait list and was starting a second location for her business, because she had so much demand. And we actually did less in her marketing, and it costs her, I think she was paying out equivalent of about $1,000 a month. We stripped that right down to 100, and it's all batched, and it's just really simple. It's doing something that felt extremely natural. It's what she wanted to be doing, but didn't think it would add any value. But as soon as we kind of dug into that a little bit, it's become a really successful strategy for her. So really helping women regain that control and keep things simple and understand how they already have everything they need, basically. It's just giving that structure to their business. So yeah, I love it.
Oh, well, I'm amazed at, the level of experience and the ease with which, you speak into these areas of your work so comfortably. It's obviously years and years of experience, which you have. So you've brought together so you've brought together your 25 plus years of business education, experience, and expertise to help you grow a profitable business faster without sacrificing your integrity or your freedom, which is what a lot of women do. And you've pointed out that your business, coaching guides people to upgrade their business skills, create their perfect business model and client experience, and comfortably deliver compelling communications, amongst other things. What are, in the 25 years, that you've done this, what are some of the successful outcomes of combining all these business elements? And how soon, sorry, I'm putting two questions in one then, how soon can one arrive at these achievements under you?
Well, the how soon is almost one of those how long is a piece of string questions, because the women I work with, they're all at a slightly different stage of business. They're all at a slightly different, they have very different businesses to start with, very different visions, different skill sets. But so it really, I can't do the work for them. I'm their coach. I give them the training, the mentoring, the coaching, because I think business coach is a bit of a mix of everything. And I really guide them through, and I give them the templates and everything, but they still have to do the work. And that's the bit I think that helps them to build their confidence, because they are the one building this. I'm not building the business for them. They're doing it. They're taking what I'm giving them and figuring out what that means for them, and then coming back and feeding back, and we're kind of building on that, so it becomes really solid for them. So it can happen. I had one lady who, she was thinking, well, maybe I could sort of perhaps maybe do this. She knew exactly what she wanted to do, but she really wasn't convinced that it could be a business, that she could do it, and that people would pay her, because it was something she really wanted to do. She thought, people aren't going to pay me for this thing I love. She had her first client within 3 weeks. So it can go really, really fast. But for other people, they have a bigger structure, they have more to work through, so it may take them a little bit longer. But generally within the first 1 or 2 weeks, people they always come to me and say, I've never seen myself or my business this way before. This is just incredible. They really get a very different perspective on what they have in their hands already, which is always one of my favorite moments.
That's part of the success stories, isn't it?
Yeah.
Seeing that change come through before your very eyes.
Yeah, exactly. So I had one lady come through, and her business, well, I hope she won't mind me saying, was just a complete mess. She had been running it for a year, but she didn't really have a plan. She didn't really have the confidence in what she was doing, although like she should have, because her client results and feedback was incredible. But there was a mindset piece there where she was like, well, I'm not expert enough yet. I hear that a lot. And she didn't have the structure. She didn't have any processes in place, any systems. And her marketing was working incredibly well, but she was putting too much time into that versus where she was placing. So her time wasn't being well spent. And within 6 weeks, she had really cleaned up her ship. And by the end of the program, she had doubled her profits. She had a lot more time than she ever had before. She was less stressed because she knew what she was like doing. She was really in control. She had a high ticket offer with clients in it that she was like, no one's ever going to pay me that. And so, well, let's just put that out there. And she got 3 clients that next week. So she's like, oh wow, people will pay for that. I was like, yes, you are really valuable. What you're doing is incredible. So, and that then gave her more options to help, because she really wanted to be working with immigrants to help them with their language skills, so that they had more prospects as well. So but getting the high paying clients meant that she had more options with her passion clients who couldn't afford that price at all. So it was really wonderful to go through that process with her. So she had incredible results very, very quickly. Other people come through and all they really want is just to have some breathing space. So I had one lady, and she had a business everyone had told her was never going to work, that she should just stop it altogether. She had 5 kids, so she was really struggling just to keep everything in balance. And by the end of the program, she had a plan. So she had much more time free for her business and for her clients and for her children and for herself. So that the time was a big thing for her. So she felt less stressed about being pulled in all different directions. And she was making a small profit. It wasn't like $1 million or anything, but she was making a small profit on what she was doing. She was starting to make some really interesting connections with other people, just because she started to feel more confident in what she was doing and believe in herself and her business again. So for her, it wasn't like this big, I'm now a 7-figure income earner, but she got exactly what she needed from the program, was just to feel happy in what she was doing. So it's really difficult to say this is exactly what you're going to get, but it's a very high touch program. The way I work with clients is very personalized. So my goal is to make sure that everyone reaches their goal by the end of the program.
Right. So listening to all these different testimonies, I can't help but wonder, are there any special attributes that one needs to have, to be a successful business person?
Yes, I think you need to want to do it. And that's it. If you go to any entrepreneurial event or business event, and you look around, people come from all walks of life and make a business a success. The only thing they need to do is to want to do it. And then once you have a vision that you feel motivated to do, you will do it. I interviewed a lady on my podcast recently who is a full-time lawyer. She has 2 young children, and she started a business in 20 minutes a day. And it's now gone global because it's really a super valuable business. But she was so determined, just 20 minutes a day, that's all it took her. So it's just, if you have that desire, you'll find a way.
And, going back, to the focus on women, I know that through your work with female leaders, business owners, and entrepreneurs, you've seen how powerful connections and open communication and peer learning is for women. And you've also talked about how passionate you are about seeing more women gain the confidence needed to succeed, in ways that are aligned to their unique values, vision, and purpose.
Yes, that's really important. And I think that's more important for women than men even.
Right. So as a woman who has also gone through your fair share of experiences in business, what else, outside of these, is there anything else that motivates you to tailor your services to women? Why women?
So I do work with some men, and I'm always telling people, if I really get clear on my niche, then will I discount all these people that could be working with me? I was like, look, I'm the business coach for women. My branding is pink. Everything about my brand it's women. It says women all over it, but men still come and say, can you help me? And it's like, yes. My group program, the community aspect, that's for women, because I think from my experience working with the women's network that I set up, and I've been on the board of other women's networks as well, women learn best from other women. And when you have a small tribe of dedicated women who are there with you going through your journey, I mean, that's just a really, really key, important thing. And I don't think men need that in quite the same way. And keeping that as just a female community is really important to me. And as I said, when I started here, I saw that there were a lot of women, a lot of very smart women, struggling to find a way to use their talents in a way that felt good to them, because they were just mums or just a trailing spouse, and they'd left everything behind and were struggling to refine their identity, and struggling. They really wanted to work, but without the connections, without the language skills, it was really difficult, and without the time as well, because it was here, and it is getting better, but certainly a decade ago, it's full-time or nothing, and that didn't work for most women. So they and even if they didn't have kids, with the husbands traveling and doing other things, it really puts them under pressure to do everything. So I really wanted to help them, because I thought that was a big opportunity for them to do what they want to do. But everything I teach works just as well for men as it does for women. It was just, that was kind of my particular background, and I saw that gap and a need there. So that's what I focused on, women.
Absolutely brilliant. Very insightful as well. Thank you, Melitta. I'd like to take us into the book now, if you don't mind. And I'm not going to ask you if you've got a copy. It is your own book. You own it.
Yes, I have several.
But my first question about the book would be, what's your favorite chapter in the book and why?
Oh, well, I think that's that first part, the victory framework, the victory formula, because that's the part that I felt was missing when I was trying to find a networking book that would help me. And there are other sort of networking books out there for introverts, but I think none of them had that piece of the puzzle that helps you prepare for the journey ahead. And I think in fact, lots of people have already come to me to say, well, actually, I'm an extrovert, And even just that first, like I've only got to B, and they message me, this is already changing, a game changer for me. I hadn't thought about this before. And also, I think it's not specific necessarily to networking. You can use it for any aspect of life. Once you have the courage, once you have the vision, once you're showing up as your true self, and you can create your own rules that make it any situation feel comfortable and accessible to you, then that opens up a whole world of possibility, really. So I think that's the bit I'm most excited about.
Yeah, I mean, straight away, I was excited about that, that part of the book when I opened it, that, chapter 1, and I saw victory is waiting. And I'm like, yes. But first of all, I need to find out what Melitta thinks about how victory is waiting. And I'd really love to read, some excerpts from that chapter. Do you want me to do it, or would you like to?
Yeah, if you'd like to.
Great. So at the beginning of that chapter, it says, or Melitta says to us, before we dive into building the skills and tools needed to network with confidence, I want to help you build a solid foundation. By that, I mean your readiness to move out of your comfort zone towards the success you seek. And I've got to stop there because my attention is caught in that last sentence and the part about moving out of, your comfort zone towards the success you seek. Why is success so difficult that you've got to move out of your comfort zone? I mean, it's general knowledge. We know that nothing good comes easy, but why is it always that way?
Because if it was already easy for you, if it already felt comfortable, you would be already doing it, right? So if there's something that you want to achieve and you're not doing it yet, you have to take that step outside the comfort zone to get there. But the way that formula works is that it makes that easy for you, and it almost makes it into a situation where it feels more comfortable to move out of your comfort zone than to stay in it. And that's a real game changer. But it does it I wanted to be clear in the book that if there's something that you feel you should do, but that's not your vision, that's not your goal, then don't worry about that. Don't force yourself to do anything that doesn't feel motivating to you. But if there's something that you want to be achieving, that you kind of feel, I really want to do that, but there's something holding you back, then you definitely owe it to yourself to find a way to move outside your comfort zone. And that victory formula will really help make that a straightforward process for you, and an exciting process too.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And in the second paragraph, I've got to read that. It's difficult to do anything well and with conviction if your heart isn't in it. That is so true. And it's hard to perform at your best when you're not in alignment with your thoughts, emotions, values, and goals. The first step to building this coherence is to understand what these are and what they represent to you now and to your future self. That's what we're going to work on in this first section, and with the help of my victory formula. So what is your victory formula?
So the victory formula brings together your vision. So what is it you want to achieve? What is that success you're seeking? And why is that important to you? And it really helps you think, I just prove to yourself that this is something worth going for, and then getting intentional about it, because there's no point saying oh yeah, I'll start tomorrow. You really want to just get on with it. And once you decide to do something, it's amazing how all those doubts and fears you had already start to slip away, and you're like, oh right, I'm doing this. That whole just making the commitment to that goal is really key. And you mentioned there that if you're out of alignment with who you are, if you're out of alignment with your goals, your passions, things won't come together. It's going to be really hard for you to move forward. But not many of us ever take time to think, well, what are those? Are they in alignment? Well, I don't know. What are they? So the formula helps you to work through what is meaningful for you, what is meaningful for you about this goal, what is holding you back in terms of the courage and confidence, and it helps you understand what confidence really is. And it's not, as most people think, and so, well, certainly how I used to think is like, oh, I'll feel more comfortable about this when I'm more confident, but as if confidence was just going to fall out of the sky and land on my lap one day. But confidence doesn't come from knowing you can do it. Confidence comes from knowing you can figure it out. It comes from trusting your own instincts and abilities. So the more you do little tiny things outside your comfort zone, the more you build that belief in yourself that you can, if things don't quite go according to plan, you can figure it out. And hey, that thing that I thought was going to be really scary, actually it was okay. And most of the time things are okay. I think it was Mark Twain said once, is like, that he's had so many fears in his life, and none of them ever came true. That we're always fearful of what if, or what if this happens, and most of the time these things never happen, and then we just wasted all of this opportunity. So the victory formula will help you really make sure that those fears and doubts are put to a side, and you can really move forward with greater confidence.
I love this part where you've talked about, going with your gut feeling and not overthinking things. And I must say, I must confess, I'm one of those who really overthink things. What is the danger? Just very quick, we've got just a few minutes to go. What's the danger in overthinking things in business?
Oh, you just don't get anywhere. It's really, we really shouldn't do it. The thing is, women have this secret superpower, which is our instincts. Our instincts are really strong. And we forget sometimes that those instincts, it's not some kind of animal instinct or some kind of thing that's come out of nowhere. It's all of our knowledge, our experience, our learning. It's our history of all the people that have come before us, the generations. There's a lot of wisdom there. And sometimes we think instincts, we don't trust them enough, but it really is our inner wisdom, and when we really should trust it more.
Where can we find your book? I mean, I know at the beginning I already said, I think I gave that away when I said straight away I went to Amazon and I ordered a copy of my book. Where else can we find it?
You can find it on Amazon everywhere.
Okay, on Amazon everywhere.
Yes.
Is it in the bookshops?
Bookshops can order it. So if you want to get it from a bookshop, do go into your local bookshop and ask them to order it for you, because it may not be on the shelf. Maybe it will, I don't know. But if you don't see it on the shelf, they can order it for you. It's on all the
things. And you've got a Kindle copy as well on Amazon, have you?
Yeah. So you can get it in paperback or Kindle.
So there we are. Don't waste time now. If you're watching this program and if you've been motivated and inspired by Melitta Campbell, go out and get your copy of the book, A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking. Melitta, before we go, is there any final advice that you'd like to give women in business?
I think it just comes back to that believe in yourself. And it's been on my podcast, I interview women about how they've successfully started their business and what got them over those initial fears and doubts. And the biggest lesson that they've all learned and shared back is exactly that. Just be yourself. It's for all of them, they say, it was only when I started to be myself, to trust myself, and to do things my way that things started to come together and feel good. And I think that's the biggest lesson, that we have it all already. That we may need a few frameworks, a bit of help along the way, but anything we want to do, we already have it there in our heart. We just have to go for it.
You've been completely inspirational this evening, and I would like to thank you very much again for taking time out to log into PayTalks today, all the way from Switzerland. And anytime you're back in the UK, Melitta, we need to catch up again. Hopefully we'll be back in our, studios by then. I would love to have you in the studio to, talk some more about the different chapters of this very inspirational book and how it can help women, turn their businesses from an expensive hobby into a dream business.
Yeah.
Wonderful
Yeah.
strapline there.
Maybe by the time I come over, I'll have finished my second book.
Hopefully. We'll keep our fingers crossed for you on that. It's been lovely having you this evening, and I'd like to thank everyone who's also logged in and joined in this conversation. And hopefully I'll see you very soon with another interesting guest. Until then, I'm PayBentu signing off for PayTalks.
Bye, everyone.